The transfer window is imminently approaching, and it is going to be very interesting to see who makes a move. There is so much at stake, and a tweak here and there with regard to personnel can have such a dramatic impact. Helping me think about the biggest moves that could happen this window is a wonderful Turkish. Always a joy, sir.
Pleasure.
I think that there are potentially some massive moves that are going to happen. Like, people often say this. It's one of those things that is said in football, and I just don't believe it to be true at all. You know, when people go, it's very difficult to sign a good player in January.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
Like, look, I appreciate it's harder than the summer, but some huge players, huge transfers, defining moments have happened in this window. And I think that there are some players who are potentially going to move now that could have a dramatic impact. The obvious, right? Obvious. I don't know if I can think of a player who has been coveted by the big six clubs in the way that Antoine Semenyo is. In the history of the game, I'm not sure there is. I can't think. Maybe Michael Essien at one point when he was in France, people were talking about him. I feel like every big club was kind of talking about him. But Antoine Semenyo is playing for a club where he is clearly too good to be there. Clearly the best player. And sometimes, you know, when you're watching football and you're just like, he's too good. I remember being at Stamford Bridge, right? I remember watching Chelsea Southampton, and I went to my mate. Who's this guy? Like Sadio Mane. I was like, why is the best player on the pitch not in a blue shirt? He's far too good for them. Semenyo's that. I think he will leave. Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Man United and Liverpool would all be elevated by his presence in their side. Yep. Where's he going to go?
I mean, he'd elevate all of them sides, but I think the most serious interest comes from City, Liverpool, and maybe Man United, it seems. But I'd probably leave him out the equation when you consider Man City, Liverpool are there. Yeah. I've heard he supports Arsenal, and that would be his go-to. If we were interested, I'll be interested. It doesn't seem like it. Would they have taken him in the summer when you consider the release clause is 65 mil, what we paid for Madueke? Semenyo's both-footed. You know, I mean, looking back, that was probably something, you know, we could have done different that would have benefited us, in my opinion. But it looks like Man City will be getting him. And Man City look like they will be our title rivals, you know, heading into February, March, off the back of that January window. Now, City are already firing, right? You know, their attack is already full to the brim with talent. So just be another addition over there. To help get them over the line, but I feel like their defensive frailties will still remain somewhat. They're not as secure as they once was. I'd probably argue that maybe a Guehi would be a better signing for them in January than a Semenyo.
I think there's mileage in that theory, but I also think that, you know, sometimes when there is a player like Semenyo,
you go get him.
Yeah,
65 million.
65 million for a proven player capable of elevating a front line. It's also a slightly problem position for City, not in as much as they haven't got, of course they've got amazing players, but Semenyo hasn't necessarily worked out to the level that they...
Nor has Doku. Doku's had his moments, and in those moments and patches he looks great, but he hasn't been what we all thought he would be. Yeah, I agree. You know, but he has been better than Semenyo. That's why, you know, Semenyo gets the brunt of that criticism. Yeah. But I feel like neither winger that they signed over the last few years in both of them have really worked out. So Semenyo will probably come in and...
But do you know why? Do you know why I think part of the reason City are up for it? So when you talk about their side and you think about the players that they have, they don't need him. No. They don't need him. But sometimes, and I think that this is what you do when you're at the top. This is what you do when you are the best. You make signings to stop others making that signing. So you improve yourself a touch, of course you do. Yeah. But what you really do is you stop Arsenal getting Semenyo and you stop Liverpool getting Semenyo. Because if I know that you're right here. He's going to go to City. That's certainly how it looks. But I just think Liverpool should hijack this deal. And I think Arsenal should certainly be in the market. Like, there isn't a better time for Semenyo to go to Liverpool, to join the champions, by the way, than now. Look, Isak sadly has broken his leg, so you don't have to compete with Isak to get in the side. Salah's currently at AFCON, so you don't have to compete with him to get in the side. And at some point, they have to start thinking about life post-Salah. Life post-Salah could be Ekitike, Semenyo, Isak up front for Liverpool. Yeah. I'm surprised that they're not thinking about it.
They've spent a hell of a lot.
And
a precarious position in the league. I know now we look at it and, you know, recently they've got back in that top 4 equation. But when you have that expenditure in the summer, if top 4, top 5 Champions League football is looking a doubt, I assume that, you know, there has to be some sort of a handbrake on in the window, because profile-wise, you're right. I mean, let's talk about Arsenal. Profile-wise, he comes in, he starts on our left wing, and, you know, in a fairy tale world, he gets us over the line.
You know, just to oversimplify football, I'm going to do it. If Arsenal sign Semenyo, they win the league.
I agree. It sounds fair and legitimate. You know, how can you argue against that when you look at what we're missing?
Everything else,
and what he brings, and, you know, we've spoken about our attack recently in the Aston Villa preview. You know, it's missing something, and I think that something is in that profile of Semenyo, someone who can go both ways, someone who can carry the ball. Madueke carries the ball well, and last season he was in the top 3, I believe, in terms of ball carries, but he's very left-footed.
Yeah. So
that Semenyo both-footed aspect, I think in football, one of my favourite players ever, and I'm not comparing them because you can't compare them, but Santi Cazorla.
Yeah, beautiful footballer.
When you have a footballer that can just go on both feet, as I think when people say, he's both-footed now, it's not truly
they're not.
both-footed, whereas Semenyo is both-footed. He's as confident on the right as he is the left.
Yeah, you pass it from your right to your left and go that way, or your left to your right and go that way. Like, you do it either way, don't you? That balance.
Cazorla was so good at that.
Yeah.
Semenyo, I look at in terms of his position, and I think what he could bring to this Arsenal side, I think for 65 mil, when you consider it's been 6 years, you know, the season, in one aspect, it's gone the way we want it to. We're top of the league. In the other, in terms of the attack clicking, it hasn't. So do you potentially just push the boat out? Arsenal are never really a team that has pushed the boat out in terms of a window. The last window we had is probably our best in terms of money spent, positions filled. But sometimes you've got to push that boat out a little just to get over the line. And I feel like Semenyo would be that for us. Can we spend 65 mil? I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can. So yeah, I hope in the next few days, I hope by the time this video has come out, that Ornstein's come out with a tweet saying Arsenal interested, but I doubt it at this moment.
Yeah, it's just looking like City. And you can understand from Semenyo's point of view, to be part of this City side, to link up with Haaland, like the allure of being coached by Pep Guardiola, you can see why. Yeah, I get why he would be up for it, but I just feel like Liverpool and Arsenal should be making this happen.
Yeah.
Like we said, it potentially wins Arsenal the league. So with that in mind, I'm surprised that they're not more serious. But look, it's looking like he's going to City. Now, just before we talk about who else should move this transfer window, will you do us a massive favour and just click subscribe? It really helps us out. And I can see from our analytics that lots of you are watching and not subscribing. So please do click subscribe. Thank you so much.
Come on, people.
What about Marc Guehi? He's only got 6 months left on his contract. Do you feel like he'll move this summer?
Summer or January?
This January.
Before that ball's in Crystal Palace's court. What do they want to achieve this season? Because, you know, the likelihood of achieving what they want is higher with Guehi in the side. They're a side that just won a trophy or two if you include Community Shield. I think if a team comes in with a decent enough offer, I think they take it. You know, because at the end of the day, they've got to recycle, reinvest. And Liverpool were the closest, you know, in terms of getting him over the line in the summer. They still need him. I just mentioned Man City could do with him. And the way our defence is at the moment, Rory, it sounds laughable considering how many defenders we got. But the way it's been this season, Gabriel's been out a little while. Saliba in patches has been out. Mosquera's out currently. Hincapié has had a knock or two. Timber off the back of, you know, filling in for Ben White after an ACL. He's got his problems in terms of load management. So, again, if the price is right, Arsenal, are you interested? Liverpool, do you still... I expect Guehi to go in January.
Well, his contract ends in the summer.
Yeah.
So if they want to make any money, they have to do it. They have to do it now.
They have to.
Because he's not going to stay beyond the summer.
No.
I think the problem that Liverpool and everybody else are going to have who was initially linked with him is I feel like his stock has gone through the roof. In the same way that Konate's stock has fallen.
Yeah.
Like Real Madrid, it felt like Real Madrid were going to sign Konate, which meant Marc Guehi was going to go to Liverpool. Obviously, Real Madrid presumably don't want Konate anymore.
Not.
Maybe they jump ahead and, you know, Bayern Munich are apparently looking at Guehi. Real Madrid are looking at Guehi.
We forget, you know, at a certain time we forget about the European team's interest in the English players, especially in this day and age. Bayern Munich, that's a good shout, Rory. I would not be surprised if they did come in. No. Good player, good value in a league where, you know, it's not as competitive as the Premier League, he'd slot in perfectly for them. So you know what, good shout, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think it could happen, because I think he has to leave. Palace will need some money for him.
They have to, yeah.
They have to.
They're not a team that can afford
Such
to
a good
let
player,
a 30 million player go.
Like he's England's best centre half. He will be starting for England every single game of the World Cup, and he's playing for Palace, who are struggling. Glasner's not happy.
Yeah,
it just has to happen. But this is another signing where I just think Liverpool have to make it happen.
And his set piece threat has become more prevalent. I think behind Gabriel, I mean, this is just literally off the top of my head, watching either football week in, week out, or my Flash Score app week in, week out. Behind Gabriel, I think he's probably been the most consistent in terms of opposition box from set pieces.
People forget. You know, everybody's, and rightly so. You know, Jude Bellingham's bicycle kick in
Yeah.
That was Marc Guehi's assist. You know, he's brilliant in both boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's a class
that's
act.
So important. Now, when you look at how everyone looks at Arsenal, and you know, oh my God, his set pieces and how strong we are. I mean, part of that strength is Gabriel. Hence why when you take him out of the side, our set piece influence dwindles a little. So Guehi's profile in terms of what he brings in the defense, top notch. What he brings in the opposition box in this day and age, it can be crucial. It can be the difference.
Yeah. Do you know a player that I was very surprised with a headline I saw? Kobie Mainoo. You think about how good this player was. You think about what he did. He started just to totally demonstrate the brilliance of this player.
Yeah.
Scored for Manchester United against Manchester City in an FA Cup final. Like, you know, when you think about the way that Manchester United fans talk about like players of a bygone era, like Norman Whiteside, always look on the white side of life, they sing and all that, right? He won him the FA Cup. Kobie Mainoo won him the FA Cup, right? Against Man City. Stopped Man City winning a double off the back of winning a treble. Massive goal. And he also, Kobie Mainoo, started for England in the Euros final against Spain. That is the stock he had.
Yeah.
Everton. David Moyes apparently keeping tabs on Kobie Mainoo at Everton. And I'm just thinking, wait,
what's happened?
This is a Champions League footballer, no doubt.
Yeah.
This is a player that should be starting for, well, I think he should be starting for Manchester United, right?
Should be, definitely.
But if he's not, and if it ever became a toss-up between Amorim or Mainoo, I see no reason to back Amorim over Kobie Mainoo.
Yeah.
I think we should sign him. I think this should be a Chelsea signing. I think he's a class act. I think he fits our profile, which I hate all that nonsense, right? But if we're going to be signing these young, prodigious players with a future, Kobie Mainoo fits that profile.
Something about him, yeah.
I think he's brilliant. Why on earth is he potentially going to be leaving Manchester United?
Tongue in cheek, a few years ago, I mentioned to Saeed on the Big Six that we'll take him in a couple of years, because that Van Persie to United, I've always wanted revenge for that. And Man United don't have a Van Persie anymore. Do you get it? So I look at Mainoo, and even as an Arsenal fan, I look at our midfield options. I would take Mainoo for the right price. In terms of the 8, he could play next to Declan Rice in the 6. Yeah. We've seen that for England.
Instead of him or with him.
He can play with Zubimendi, with Zubibi in the 6. So he can relieve some minutes off of what, you know, across a 50, 60 game season will be tired legs in Zubi and Rice. Norgard's 31, Marino's 29.
He'd be a great player for you, actually.
I think, you know, and in terms of where we are and what we are potentially going into in terms of winning trophies, I think, you know, it's the perfect profile to add to the squad. Yeah. But at the same time, you make a good point. Chelsea's direction, the way you've gone about business in the past 2 years, he fits that to a T. A player you can probably get cut price somewhat, but a player that's got high potential to sell on in a few years. I think
he's a class act. And if we have anything about us, we should be really monitoring this Kobie Mainoo situation, because this isn't like we signed Garnacho from them. They didn't want Garnacho. Yeah, you know, it was a market opportunity, as Chelsea like to talk about. Kobie Mainoo is circumstance, and when these situations present themselves, you have to make it happen. I agree. But it would be a travesty for Manchester United. I think it actually could be the moment. United fans, either to their credit or detriment, are incredibly loyal and supportive of their managers. Yeah. It doesn't chime with the way I see football. I'm the first to say get them out, right? But I rate the way Man United are loyal. Kobie Mainoo signs for Chelsea or Arsenal or something. I think that could be the tipping point, because he's such a good player.
It is. His brother hasn't helped the situation over there.
What was he doing?
It becomes something different then, and you know, fans don't know where to put their loyalty. But you are right. United have a great history with youth talent that come through their setup. They've got that record, no, where every
they've always had a squad. Yeah.
So of course there's a certain affinity there, But the Man United situation is so messy now. I don't think they know what's what over there, from the manager to the fans to the Glazers and so on. It's just a big pile of mess that might be, you know, typified by Mainoo, who once looked at as one of the best young talents in the world. Rio Ferdinand compared him to Seedorf in the first 20 games.
Yeah.
Losing him to a rival on paper in terms of Big Six, but not necessarily a rival for competitions, because Man United are not. Then they're nowhere. Well, I mean, they're in and around where you are right now, but in terms of they're not.
They're out the League Cup. They were never in Europe.
It's just it's
different. But a player to replace it, if Mainoo leaves, I've seen they've been linked with Elliot Anderson.
Quality player. I thought he might go City, and
I think he could go City as well.
If he holds tight, because the Rodri situation. I know Gonzalez has come in and done well this season, but Rodri profile wise, Elliot Anderson's not Rodri, but in terms of what I've seen of him, quality player.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant, Anderson. Do you know what? I watched their game against Tottenham, and he absolutely battered their midfield.
Yeah.
You know, like their midfield, Tottenham's. It's quite pretty. It's quite Bentancur and whatever.
Yep.
Anderson was just, honestly, it was men against boys. He was just smashing them to bits, dominating the midfield. It was Michael Essien. It was Michael Ballack. Do you know, it was like a brilliant midfield position.
Against City.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the midfielder to stand out for me in that game. I know they didn't win the game, but listen, it's City, it's Forest.
Yeah, what can you do,
But, when you're standing out on the pitch with players like that around you, then there's something about you. I think England are in a very unique situation right now. That, they haven't been in a long time with the options they have in midfield.
I've seen he's been linked to City, United, but Forest are talking about somewhere between 80 and 100 million.
Football's gone in it in terms of prices and whatnot.
Yeah, I thought, do you know what? For a moment there, I thought we were going to sort of debate it and go, is he worth that kind of... And you're like, no, not, of course not, but that's what it is. So it is.
I mean, I'll sit here and say Declan Rice isn't worth 100 mil, but when you look at the market...
Yeah, of course he is.
He is fair value because of the other 100 mil players that have gone around and maybe how it's worked out. Football's gone in terms of price tags. I mean, if they're asking for 80, 100 mil, I put myself in those shoes and I think, all right, well... Caicedo went for 100 mil after 6 to 12 good months.
Enzo Fernandez had 20 games for Benfica or whatever.
And there's a couple more. I mean, Belieber, there was interest this summer, 80 mil apparently they wanted, and he had a good 6
That's
to
all
12
gone a
months.
bit quiet, isn't it, Belieber? Do you feel like that could still happen to United?
He hasn't had a good season so far, but that could work in an opposition favour in terms of...
still go and get... I mean, the one that makes sense to me is Adam Wharton.
Oh, he's my favourite of the lot.
Mate... He's so good.
He's my favourite of the lot, I'm not going to lie. If you could offer me any of those 3 names I just mentioned, Wharton, Anderson, Belieber, Wharton is...
Just does it so easily.
There's something about his passing between the lines is something special.
Yeah, the ease. It's very un-English, the way that he plays that midfield.
Yeah, he's got a bit of... I don't know. He's got a bit of Spanish in the way he plays in terms of how quickly he gets that ball between. He doesn't need a touch.
Yeah,
he can just get it.
He's a close. And the amazing thing about him, he's been like this for years. Plays like it at Blackburn in the Championship. And you're just like, wait, that's not what happens.
Slowly building.
Yeah, for me, he'd start for England. I know Tuchel loves Elliot Anderson, and don't get me wrong, I love Elliot Anderson as well. But if it was a choice between Anderson and Wharton, there's just something about Wharton that I think excels.
Same. And you say something about, that's the best way to put it, because don't ask me what that something is. It's maybe the eye test that does it for me. I just love that ping he has. Gets the ball, pings it between the lines onto the players that matter in the final third. And that's what you need from your 6, your 8, your central midfielder. You need that sort of risk-taking confidence.
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant player. Is there anyone else who's caught your eye? I saw that potentially Ivan Toney will come back to the Premier League. Yeah, potentially. And look, I don't think it would be a bad move. Like, I remember when Manchester United just needed goals. They went and they got Henrik Larsson on one of those sort of... those kind of moves can happen in this window, and they can be very... If you're intelligent with it, you get the right player in. Like, let's use Everton as an example. They've been linked. If Everton were to somehow pull off Ivan Toney and Kobie Mainoo, suddenly their dream goes from being upper mid-table, dreams of Conference League, to then actually thinking Europa League qualification.
Yeah, top 6 they'd be looking at, because they've already got quality players dotted throughout. You add those 2 profiles, quality players, an ex-quality player that might bring that fight back into the Premier League in Toney. Everton seem to be in a good place right now with Moyes. You know, it wasn't long ago we was looking at them thinking, right.
You made me laugh there. I should have said pause. I saw a little tweet. I thought, what's he laughing at? I thought, oh yeah, I clocked what I said. Yeah. So pause. But mate, this has been very interesting. It's going to be fascinating
to round
see.
It off. If Chelsea could sign one profile, forget player, one profile in January, who would that? What would that profile be?
I think it would be Wharton.
Okay, midfield.
I think it would be Wharton. Yeah, not necessarily because that's where we need him. I just think that he's a standout player that is at a club that he has to leave.
Okay.
But saying that, every player that we've discussed would be great for us.
Yeah.
Like Antoine Semenyo would immediately change who we are.
Of course.
I feel like Elliot Anderson would immediately get into our team.
Yeah.
Marc Guehi is more needed than any other player in terms of position.
Yeah.
Like we need a centre half more than we need anyone. What about you? If you could get one of these over the last, God, for you it's obvious, and it's Semenyo.
Yeah. Semenyo,
because he's just so much better than Martinelli.
100%. You know, the hope was Eze would, you know, fill in on that left and make it his own. But already we see that Mikel maybe favours him centrally, but he also favours Odegaard more. So let's get that left winger in. That would be my ideal.
Yeah, I think that is the vast, overwhelming opinion of Arsenal fans on this. But it'd be very interesting to see because the tweaks that are made in this window could make or break sides.
100%. There is no outstanding favourite at this moment in time. Yeah. Arsenal, City, and Aston Villa. You know, they're in there with a shout. We haven't even mentioned Villa and who they might get.
Yeah, I wonder if they will do. Is there It's difficult, isn't it? Because I feel like they've still got players in and around their camp that they're not even like. Harvey Elliott's not featuring.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, looking at Villa, and then we mentioned Guehi. If the big clubs don't go back in for him, I think Villa could be a great club to go swoop in, and I know we've talked bigger for him in terms of Real Madrid, Liverpool, Arsenal, but sometimes when that boat sails, you don't get to jump on it again. Maybe that boat sailed for Guehi in terms of Liverpool. Aston Villa are going for Champions League spot at this moment in time. They're going for a league title. Good value for Villa, and they're a team about good value. Potentially, there hasn't been any solid links around, but I wouldn't be surprised if Villa do something, knowing that there's something potentially on the cards this season.
Mate, they are moving in such a fast ascendancy.
Yeah,
that they could pull something out of the bag like that. Very impressive from them. But let's see what happens this January window. It's going to be very exciting. And there's some massive decisions for managers.
Yeah,
like Amorim can't let Mainoo leave. I feel like Arteta needs to get Semenyo, even though it's looking like he's going to City. It's make or break. So it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Thank you so much to everybody for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know who you would like to see your club sign. And before you do anything else, make sure that you click the link in the description. You will see a link there to Turkish's channel. Make sure that you go and subscribe. Fantastic content over there. Bro. Cheers.